Keeps running like this, Al. We're putting it into practice instead of talking about it.
Yeah.
Laugh.
All right, declare the meeting open. I'd like to welcome everybody here today. We've got an apology from John Very. He's coming a wee bit later, and when he comes, there'll be an item of general business to add to the item number 4. So I'll just go through start the process. The apologies from our member Vic Lambie. Ask someone to move and second that, please.
Yes.
Moved Samantha.
Yep.
Seconded Barry. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Identification of extraordinary general business. If there isn't none there, we'll just pass on to the next one. Item number 4, John Berry, when he comes, we'll talk about the formal meeting that we held this morning about trying to find a way forward with the health services for Malvern. And under 4.1, civil defence, board member Samuel's request, we'll take that in conjunction or after our business. Is this thing on?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got Samantha had an item on the agenda, so we'll do it after.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Item number 5, the elected members' interest registry. I don't presume there's any changes. No. I've got 2 votes, but just. All right, carry on. Now, any correspondence to be taken?
I've got, if you wanted them, I've got a letter from Simeon Brown and a letter from Matt Ducey related to our health situation. With response, these are responses to a personal submission I gave them. We're welcome to read them if you want them.
You want to summarise them if we've got time?
They basically tell us that there's 11 spaces in the Darfield Hospital, and that and Pegs itself is working with the Darfield Medical Centre to place 190 people waiting to enrol. There's not really a lot in there, but Minister Ducey did say that I've shared your correspondence with Health New Zealand officials so they may consider your mobile general practice transport proposal.
All right,
I'll take that as being positive.
We'll
I'll table it if you want them.
and we're here. If John wants to refer to any of that.
Yep.
In his part, right?
Yeah.
Evan, did you get an email from Others Wildlife Trust or Key Conservation? No? Okay. All right.
Well, I don't think I have.
No, that's all right.
All
No,
right.
no, Renee said she sent you one and I didn't. And it's,
Well, I might be on my computer. All
we'll
right.
just, we don't need to do anything with it. We'll just put it in advance.
All right. Public forum. Now we have Peter from. You're here, Peter. Maharaja to talk about a.
Yep, Peter, have a seat here.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I?
Please.
Thanks very much. I thought I'd have to stand like in the past. I've been to the riverbed. I know everyone's going to say it's not our issue, but anything that happens in the riverbed's still a flood area.
Excuse me, which river is Selwyn? The Selwyns?
No, Hororata. Right. From Milnes Road to the far end of Terrace Station, ECAN has had a company called Wooden Trees go in there and cull out the majority of the willows. Good. I hope we don't have a slash problem from it if we do get big rain, where the pipeline goes across for Central Plains Water on Duncan's Road. That in itself has been a thorn for me. I've always wondered whether there was ever a permit given to have that pipeline across above the river. All right, when it was put there, it was most probably close to 2 meters above the shingle. Since the floods in 23 and other ones since, there might be less than half a meter in places. And while we're on the subject of talking about the river and the riverbed and the issues in Hororata, the council's doing culvert alterations and reconstruction. So a lot of people are now using Duncan's Road and the ford that cuts through it. You go up Duncan's Road from Hororata, through the ford, out Milnes Road, through Milnes Road Ford and back up Downs Road, rather than 22 Ks. Good. How about the council supporting that cause by putting some AP20 on the muddy road there, Duncan's Road, each end of it? It's like a paper road. It's only used by some people, but it's a pigsty, and it's going to get worse over the next 4 weeks. Just every action has an equal or opposite reaction. So they're kicking up about the culverts. I'm kicking up about the road they're using now. So yeah, but
How long's the diversion going to be in for that culvert job?
I think it's most probably, so from what I've heard, it was supposed to be 5 weeks, but I think this might be about week 2 now. I'm not sure, but there's been quite a bit of furious debate between, I don't know whether they've had a meeting outside Robbie Wilson's last Friday with Cord, I think, or with 2 people from Selwyn District. So I don't know what the issue is there, but yeah.
Well, I know, for instance, that Councillor Very's been up to a meeting there.
Sorry?
John Very, councillor,
Yeah,
he attended a meeting. I don't know if it was the Residents Association or one to do.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that bypass is 22 kilometres, isn't it?
Yes,
It just-
supposedly. So a lot of them that have got vehicles that will do it are going up Duncan's Road, through the ford, then back down Milnes Road onto Downs Road. What I'm saying is, in the end, that road, which is only used by some vehicles, could most probably do with a couple of truckloads of AP20 spread along it, harden it up and get rid of the mud. So
Well,
yeah, so that's that. Mainly my concern is always more about the river and what ECAN are trying to do. I think it's good what they've done. I'm impressed, but if they poison those stumps, will help them stop growing back.
have they cleaned up all the slash?
I've been up there and I've seen the huge piles, but there's lots of small stuff there that's still going to come down, I think.
Are they going to burn the slash?
I don't know if they're going to burn it or what they're going to do. I've been in touch with Daniel Meehan, that used to be with Selwyn District. He's now with ECAN as a surface water hydrologist, I think, and spoke to him about it. And I haven't heard back whether they're going to burn it or what they're going to do with it. But my concern is there, if they spend the money doing the stump, pushing the trees out, if they're going to leave the stumps in the ground, they're close to the river, they're just going to regrow for sure. So I don't know what the story is there, but no doubt whether Selwyn District follows up on it, and most probably I will too. But yeah, so it's all good. Oh, the culvert they put in Hororata Road
Right?
by the domain, it was a Tufnell Drainage did it. Bloody good job. Perfect. Smooth, no bumps, no hollows. Excellent job. And I've given them feedback to say, yeah, good job. Not that I'm a road end manager, but yeah. Thanks very much for your time,
Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
everybody.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah. Well, there is, I know that the Residents Association at Hororata have had a meeting with, and John was there. Yeah, I mean, the bypass is 22 kilometres, but obviously the staff doesn't know about this other one. And it's been there since I was,
Yeah.
it's through there, it's there. All right, well, thank you very much.
It's all right. All
Okay.
good. We're all on the same team.
You're right about, yep. We move on to item number 6, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Someone,
That's all
you move that be accepted.
right.
Yeah, second that.
Second, Barry,
Take
all in
turns.
favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye, Gary.
Thank you. any matters arising from them that the chief executives, are you gonna do this further report from me?
Yes, I'll do this report. Yep, I will.
Won't make it too tough for you.
Just noting that we've got action for previous minutes as well, which have been covered off.
It missed last time, didn't
Just noting it off this time.
I? Yes. Oh,
But I can speak to those if you like.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Just noting the actions from last meeting that have been covered off in tab 8, tab 9. So the first one was around potentially securing education reserve in the Bangor Village Trust area. It's largely down to MOE sort of near their property plan, so they don't have any confirmation of whether they'll be moving into that site or not. So it would fall on council to actively purchase that land without any security of if MOE actually wants to use that land. So there's a purpose.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're talking about
Bangor Village, yeah.
We've since found out that Getty Council already owns some existing land on the other side of Creek Road. Now that land was originally purchased for a septic tank farm, sewage farm, and currently leased out. Potentially, we could do that without having to buy any land whatsoever. And if you did look at what the developer had planned for Bangor, the area they were suggesting was available for purchase for a school site is where all the smallest of their sections are, which is the highest price payments for the land. So we wouldn't need to purchase any land, and they can go and put houses there, and we could build on Creek Road potentially. So we already own the land, so it's a matter of if you surveyed off a block of land sufficient size for a school, even without the Ministry of Education purchasing, we could actually put it into playing fields, which they're going to need for the high school, with the extra classrooms going in there anyway.
I think as well as that, even in the block that's Bangor Village, council already own perhaps 10 or 12 hectares where the Darfield water supply is,
Yes.
and that's surplus to they've told the developer they want to sell it.
Right.
So there's options everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if council would say, we'll retain the ownership of that.
Yeah.
You've got, it mightn't be the right place, but you might be able to do a swap, you know.
Just as long as we can future-proof the educational needs of the township. And I think this board's got it pretty much in order.
Are those parcels that would have been used for what we would call Three Waters, how do they remain vested in council, or are they part of the asset transfer across to Selwyn Water?
Specifically the Creek Road farm, so because that was originally taken or purchased for
wastewater, yeah, principally that, but even the piece that Evan was saying is next to the current pumping station, is that?
It's definitely a question we can ask whether that's transferred or not, because it's not going to be needed for that purpose.
No.
That transfers over, but if it was originally taken for that purpose, maybe it has gone over. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I can definitely confirm that.
If we can.
And sometimes if it's taken for a purpose like that, then and not used for that, then the previous owners generally, in some cases, have had first right of refusal.
Yeah,
going back. So there's a number of strands of discussion in around the legalities of that.
I think when someone bought that block from the owner there, from my memory, that was a willing buyer, willing seller.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's great.
In which case that.
Springfield.
They're probably fine, but it's more where we've applied development contributions to buy that land, and sometimes you have to keep that in the same realm of things, but it's something we can definitely check out.
Yeah, okay.
Potentially, if it's too big for, if you wanted to, potentially, you could actually subdivide the land once you're allowed to divide them up and give Selwyn Water some of it, and retain the rest, because as the town grows, we're going to need more commercial land, we're going to need more residential land anyway. And it'd be nice to see the council make some money on it.
There's some options there.
Options.
It's probably, if we can have it noted in the minutes that we discussed it, and I wouldn't like council to sell it before we knew the outcomes of the hearing to the.
No, there's no plans to sell it.
Yeah,
All right, plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Don't think Alex get his hands on it. Watch that.
Thanks.
Just noting there's two other ones around requesting into TA, so that will occur through those processes.
Yeah.
Largely they're responsible for those
Yeah.
roads. It's definitely something that will need to be supported by an ITA, by the applicant, about what sort of road upgrades will be needed.
Yeah.
Just noting that the potential upgrading ceiling of Wards Road, no plan for the moment, but
Right.
would have to enter through the long-term plan
Yeah.
discussions this year, next year.
So we really want that to be a resolution from this committee and council to.
To put a submission into the long-term.
Yeah.
plan to seek the
Yeah.
ceiling
Yeah.
of Wards Road.
Yeah.
Because the comment that was there about they're not really using it, they're using Telegraph Road is quite frankly bollocks. Because I come up that way every time we come in, and the section just before Telegraph Road for about 10 kilometres before that, there's heavy trucks are using that flat out all the time now.
Yeah, there's over 100 vehicles a day on Telegraph and heavy vehicles
Yeah, but before,
come from the township.
yes, that's right. Yeah, so without going and doing a traffic study on that, anecdotally, the answer is it's too narrow. The shoulders aren't in a good enough state, and heavy traffic is still going to use that even when Hoskins is open, I would expect.
Hoskins is open again now.
Is it? Yeah.
It's been over 2 weeks, perhaps.
Oh, cool.
They've done a great job. They've done a great job on Hoskins.
And you can see when the money's run out because you get over on the old used to
It's
be
narrow.
Row about back into Malvern.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
a different road again.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, so we've got a resolution for that about the bypass. So we actually need to put a resolution that we take that resolution and put it into the long-term plan, correct?
Yeah, I think when we get closer to the long-term plan time, we'll be workshopping the first on things with the community board about what's actually in there, so it'll be part of the consultation package. But once we actually get to the submission phase of that, I think it's best to prepare it then.
We're probably better to just hold that until we can have a working group on. We might need to have them on different topics, like a working group on roading and one on water and one on waste or whatever, as we get closer, so that we can discuss them in more depth.
Yeah, rather than preparing something there.
Well, it's going to be a little bit ad hoc, so I think we're probably better to.
so when does the long-term plan kick off?
The development's underway already, but consultation will be.
October or so, is it?
So we see we've got a board meeting in July, nothing in August, the next one's September.
Yes, so I would suggest in that off month of August.
Yeah.
That we put together some working group meetings for preparing submissions to the long-term plan. And I would like to think that we could look at them in topic specific and deal with Malvern roading as a whole, water systems as a whole, whatever as a whole. And then we'll be able to, if we need to, call in a staff member or a contractor to be able to advise
And
as
have
well.
something ready for the
And
September
then,
meeting.
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And then they'll build in.
Good idea.
Missions will be roundabout market.
Yeah.
And we do already have a draft list for the long-term plan because we
Yeah.
did that as we did the
That
annual.
will also feed in, so we're well on the way with some of that.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, was that tidying up Steve's report?
Move into his interim CEO reports. I'll take the report largely as read, since I was hoisted on this role this morning. But just to provide a bit of a verbal update on the care bylaw aspects. So I guess just to clarify that the council hasn't actually made any decision on this space whatsoever. So there's only initial council view of the situation. So we're still waiting for the Care Conservation Trust to provide their proposal through to council. And we're keen to have a look at that, talk to them about that. And potentially that can help inform any next steps and potentially a submission to government if Wildlife Act needs any sort of amendments to help enable something like this. And that submission would be workshop with the MCB and the trust as well.
So who's going to make it? Who's going to make using
The
care?
council would make the submission,
Yeah, but using.
that's subject to what their proposal is actually is.
So they're
still got to send something.
So they're working on a proposal now.
The care.
The Conservation Trust, yes. So, but we met and had some advice that what we were asking for did still sit within the Local Government Act. And from the information that we've got back is that the council's position is that it doesn't. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
Yeah, so our
At the
initial
start.
view, so we're still waiting for the Care Conservation Trust to provide the
Okay.
proposal, and we'll go through that. So I guess our initial position, just initial look at it, is that it may be better suited to be dealt with under the Wildlife Act rather than.
We have considered that, but yes.
Yeah, and council sort of advocating for some sort of submission or amendment to the Wildlife Act
Okay.
if appropriate. The local bylaw under local government act couldn't actually address the actual feeding of the care. It's more the nuisance factor of effectively littering food, and then the care comes along and eats the food is kind of what the council can control. In saying that, there are some enforcement challenges by having a bylaw up there quite remote. Being able to actually resource it and enforce it is challenging. And maybe an educational approach from council is the best approach. But in saying that, this is just an initial look at it. We're still waiting for the Conservation Trust to provide their proposal and we'll work through that.
Cool. So my initial request was, can you tell us what processes that we might need to do and what hoops that we might need to jump through to be able to make this to get this ahead? And in the last 2 weeks, particularly since the press has become involved, we've jumped well down the track now, and there's been a whole lot of discussion internally within council about whether it sits under the Local Government Act or not. That was not what we asked. We just asked, what hoops can a community board propose a bylaw? What might that look like, and what process does that need to take? And we haven't had anything back that says about. We were just wanted to know what is the process that needs to happen, so then we could actually then do what we're needing to do. And I'm quite disappointed actually that there's been no direct engagement either with myself or with to just get that foundation stuff underway. I did approach governance directly, and then they got shot back to Steve, and then Steve shot it somewhere else. So all it would have taken was a half-hour meeting between your biodiversity, somebody from legal, and myself, and we could have solved a whole lot of stuff really quickly about what processes do we need to follow. But at this point, it's all been done at arm's length, and the only engagement really has been through the press, which I find disappointing.
And I had a ring from Steve this morning conceding that this hasn't been quite the usual procedure followed here.
Okay.
So,
all right. So
and he's got some time off for his father's funeral.
Yep.
So he said, get hold of me in a couple of weeks' time and get on to it. So,
we'll move on. I can work
Just
with
to
that.
go to the Local Government Act, I think Section 150 allows a community board to request a bylaw to be created of the council, and council makes a consideration.
And that's what we understood.
Yeah.
And at our last community board meeting and at an APA annual meeting, we've had good support from councillors along those tracks. So,
all right,
so
can we move on?
yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No further on Steve's report. Is there any questions on the other matters?
There was on the Malvern Community Awards. Do you want me? I can raise it now or wait till my board report to cover it all.
Let's do your board report.
Okay.
Okay. Or does it come up here now? Though?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things for the board. So one, the board members emailed. We had email correspondence to agree on the catering cost, which is agreed now, which is great. So I have updated the budget, and it's sitting at 1,100 approximately for the awards. And the decision for MCB is to understand: do you want to put an additional ad in the paper to advertise for the awards? So right now we've not had any nominations come through yet, but we have put one ad in. So, and then that will just mean adjusting that 1,100. So whatever we agree, that amount will be, we will need to then make a decision on transferring that amount into our new GL code from the advertising budget.
Well, to that budget of 1,100, there's an email from Barry to say about photography. Have you covered that off?
Yeah.
So that's ticked off.
Yes.
Thank you. Well,
So the 1100
it's gonna-
only included one.
One ad, yeah.
response.
Well, that's-
So if you want another one, because
Well, I think we need one more.
We'll need one more.
Question of when though. Because, yeah.
And probably we need to canvass our individual organisations a bit more thoroughly, probably prior to that insertion.
Yeah,
so the closing date is the 28th of August.
Right.
The communication to all the community associations, residents associations have already gone out.
Yeah.
So so it's really end of July, I would say would be the latest, or early August for the next ad.
I think the first week in August, let's.
Yep.
Let's do that.
Hurry up somehow.
Yeah, and if we can personally approach the community organisations
From
and
now to
say
then.
from now till then, and give it a good res up, because it's quite it's every couple of years, but I think it's really good for the community, and it's and associated with that is it lifts the profile of the board within the community too, and I think that's a valuable addition.
And I've been absolutely staggered about the number of articles in Melbourne News about particularly young people who still well and scored in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
From all kinds of sports.
the world champion up in Springfield.
Yes,
Oh,
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and we should take the opportunity to
Yeah, and leverage off that. Yeah,
services. Absolutely.
question, in relation to your ad, is it going in the Malvern News?
So the last one went into the Malvern News because
Right.
that's what we agreed.
Yeah.
But we can agree to put it somewhere else. We can put it in the Selwyn Times if you think
Yeah.
that will get more
Well,
audience.
Daniel Alvey came along to the last DRA meeting,
Oh, yes,
and
yes, yes.
I'm just wondering if we agreed to
He's
place
still
an
in
ad
time.
with them,
He's still in time.
the Selwyn Times, would Selwyn Times do an article on it, which would give us some editorial copy free of charge?
yeah, that's well worth.
Yeah.
That's well worth pursuing.
I'm just thinking,
He's a local resident of Darfield,
yeah,
so we've now got a reporter out here.
I'm
Yeah.
covering cut news reporter.
Yeah, so I think.
Would you
yeah,
like to ask him, Alan?
I don't think it's a problem to ask him.
Yeah.
And that would make sense, and they can, then we can get some editorial copy
Mhm.
and speak more about it, because people are probably more likely to read the editorial copy than they are to read an ad.
Okay. So in the meantime, then, shall we just include the budget from the extra ad, but maybe we won't need it if we can do it without cost. So $1,500 to transfer to the new GL code
And that would give us the funds there for that.
if we need it.
Yeah.
Is everyone happy with that?
So
I'm happy
were you
with that.
moving it? Trish?
Yep.
You moved
Yes,
it?
so I move the board accept a $1,500 budget for the awards, and that is the amount to transfer from the advertising GL code to our new GL code created for the awards.
Yeah, second it, please.
Yep.
Second that, yeah.
Okay, seconded Ellen, and no further discussion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried, cool. Oh, well done, Samantha. Another thing done.
Yes, thank you.
Rightio. Now we've got a fairly hefty mileage claim report in the minutes to make a choice on what we're going to do.
Are we going to do several different?
Well, we could do civil defence now, and then.
Yeah, and then that'll free up Al
Then
then.
free up our.
Yeah.
I don't think it charged you being here.
You what?
We get charged extra for you being here.
Aye. I give my time free.
Good on you.
Good on you,
This is
man.
good. And you do a great job, by the way, Al.
Thank you.
Do you want to give you? Are you coming around here? Or you going?
I can speak to a friend here if you want to.
Yeah, that's all good.
Go down to this one, go you, mate. Up back there.
So the question first, what's your key concerns after I've done some of this stuff before we had a conversation? So what's your key concerns now? So I just want to make sure that I'm talking about the right things.
Okay.
I do have a bit of a PowerPoint, But
Well,
I want to make sure I hit the mark.
I had a ring from Samantha, so she.
Yep.
She can outline what her concerns are, and that's really what's.
Excellent.
So we had a high level presentation, which was really useful that your team gave to us.
Yep.
Which was great. So so it gave me an understanding that I have an official role to play, especially in a civil defence, and we are in between the public and the emergency services. We talked about the 4 phases of civil defence, and it's really the phase around response and recover that I was wanting to know more details around the exact activity for my role in an event of an emergency, what is expected of me, and what are the things that I need to do to support my community. So say tomorrow there was an earthquake or flooding, am I going to get a call from someone, and from then on, what am I supposed to do to help my community get through that civil defence event?
Okay. So Venezuela's just had 2 earthquakes with possibly 10,000 people dead.
Just today.
So things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that there was some information events going out through the community, and Kiwi's got one on the 16th of July.
Yep.
So also really wanting to prepare myself as other board members to be able to answer community and know exactly what my role is. So come that information night, I feel confident in what I need to do to support my community.
I've got a preemptive question, if that's all right. Given that we're looking at a El Nino, a big El Nino, we have a lot of drying of the plains, the riverbeds particularly, going to get a hammering, and be a major fire hazard. What do we need to do? As a board, can we write to Kiwi Rail, because they seem to set fire a hell of a lot of track on a regular basis? Is there anything preemptive we can ask them in terms of maintaining their locos so they're not sparking so much or putting out so much?
So they're not setting.
So they're not making us fire loads. Yeah, I was worried about them because we've had fires from basically from Springfield to Kirwee previously, or down to Aylesbury Corner, haven't we?
But is that the wreck, or is that more because of the grass not being?
Well,
Well, you've got to have a source of ignition, and often that has been either seize brakes or scuffing of railway undercarriages.
Yeah, and if the grass is really dry, it enhances the issue.
But is that Kiwi Rail responsibility, or is that council? Is it Kiwi Rail land by the?
It's Kiwi Rail owns the corridor.
Okay.
There's the vegetation to that.
But it comes back on. It'll come back on the volunteer fire brigades to try to get these fires down, and it becomes a civil defence issue, doesn't it? Then at that stage,
Well, we support the volunteer fire brigade, so we support Fens when they have a fire.
I mean, you wouldn't want the grass alongside the railway lines northwest of the plantation catching fire and then going through that plantation, because half a day I feel will burn after that.
Exactly. My suggestion to you on that point,
Yeah.
if I can do that first, is that you can write to Fens.
Yeah.
I would mail it to Dean Harker, who is their risk reduction manager for Canterbury. But I would also write to Kiwi Rail and ask for an assurance that they have looked at the risk and that they are doing something to mitigate the risk.
This is good. Yeah, it's going to be boozy, this one, by the sound of it.
Yeah, I've just been on a call with Chris Brandolino from Earth Sciences about El Nino.
Yeah.
Could be an interesting summer.
Yeah.
And the problem with the rail corridor is that some of the farmland's not leased, and some is just in a fairly wild state. If you come from Springfield down, it's all nice and leased and loose and gets cut off it. So it sort of keeps pretty right. But further down, it can vary.
Yeah, and that section down Telegraph Road, down towards Telegraph Road, Railway Road, sorry, from Aylesbury Corner, heading down to Rolleston. That's pretty rough on the sides of there as well.
But the state highway one corridor alongside the Kiwi Rail is a shocker for the whole bloody length of it.
Yeah, so I'd just be asking them you know, what's
Yeah.
their plan to
Yeah.
mitigate the risk to the community,
Yeah,
given that could be an exceptionally dry year.
yes.
All right, well, I think that gets us into the next
Yeah,
part of
but I
things.
would CC Dean into it as well,
Yes.
because he is the risk reduction guy. I know that they have been working with Kiwi Rail.
Mhm.
And that Kiwi Rail have been trying to front foot that stuff.
Yeah.
Spraying the sides, etc. But it's still a big risk.
Mm.
No doubt. We've had a lot of fires, like you say, over the years.
Yeah.
Yes, they kind of work. Oh, what's that? Something there? Does that kind of work? So. IT, yeah. It's good when it works.
You should have got the.
I've been on this.
What was on yesterday? So.
I got it, I opened the charger up and got caught. Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's good. The thrust of it. So I'm going to tie her till they had a whole bit of information and pretty much do what Rob was asking. I was just a little bit. We could have wanted a tender around a different.
We come up with stuff.
Yeah.
And if you look at, if you look at the key is down here, and that road, the press about the bird over in the border, the border.
Yeah. Well, I just think not here. Well, I'm thinking conversation. One of the only parts of sitting down, seeing these two of you all what's happening at the high school, the key. So there is a whole lot of information that we can tap into that they've got no idea. But anyway, it's a hard kick.
All right, we're away again now, are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say,
Oh, no.
yes, it's received and noted, and that's all it needs. It's just an acknowledgement.
Rock Gideon one.
Yeah.
It was for Gideons and that was happening. He was the ranger. He was saying it was the only place the council infrastructure lease. Yeah. Had logs wrapped around it, but didn't go anywhere.
It was a matter of rocks.
They make a bunch of these yards, so each right in like to sort of bells on pine top on a single pipe. And on the major crumbly that is now, it's pouring in the air. So if you're passing swimming pools, popping with bikes to a bit to the side, but it needs to be checked on it. It's
For consequential.
oh. Yeah, but as long as you don't lose the look of the game's really quite smart. When we were making those,
Were you keeping in the fire on the railway?
Yeah.
That was, brakes were left on.
and they filled it
Oh,
with
the
like
brakes.
just.
Yeah,
Down the roller.
that can happen a lot though.
Yeah.
Either they're left on
Right,
or the actuator goes crooked and they jam and they come on. And so we've had the same thing.
And they
Oh,
want.
down by Fairton, they lost.
It was just one wagon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Only one wagon.
Yeah, one,
That.
yeah, one wheel on one wagon and the brake bloody lights up and starts dropping stuff. Or the wheel jams up and it just leaves a trail of sparks. But what they had down on Stone Run around Fairton as well, and it was about 10 kilometres.
Yeah.
I talked to you about what the functions are a while back. That TAs has a pretty big obligation to do emergency management as part of Canterbury Group. Each member has a whole lot of responsibilities about identifying risk and assessing risk, consulting and communicating that risk. So that is primarily the whole of council, but most of it is delegated to my team to do. So these are all the things that we're supposed to do. There's a whole lot of them, including volunteers, training personnel, maintaining arrangements, etc., responding, planning, recovery stuff. And this act it's probably only got about 3 more months to go, and the new Emergency Management Act will come into place, which puts a little bit more onus on us to be involved in the communities and have more vulnerable groups involved. Now that might be the rural community. They are more vulnerable. So we already have the Rural Advisory Group as part of emergency management in Canterbury, and they do a really, really good job. They work with the RST, Rural Support Trust. This bit here, promote and raise public awareness, I see it as part of your job. The other part of your job I see in this risk reduction part is when things are coming before you about the long-term plan. What can we do to build resilience within the community? Part of your job is to look at that and advocate for us to take measures to be more resilient. So whether that is the surface water plans that are for our communities and advocating for that to be brought forward in the LTP, that is part of your job, to build that resilience within our communities and talk to the community about it. Promoting civil defence emergency management, it's actually an everyday activity. So everything that you're doing should be looking at, are you prepared? Talking to communities about that. When you're doing your residents association meetings, bringing that stuff up as a community, are we prepared individually? Because remember in the slides I talked about the last time, no one's coming.
Yeah.
The reality is in a large scale event, no one is.
Yeah.
The better prepared our communities are, the better we'll respond.
And at our last training one down in Darfield, the lady that presented that had done a study on 3 emergency events in the North Island. The areas that came out best were ones that were prepared, even if they didn't have a formal group. But those that had organisations that were prepared, that had marae, churches, all of those, and volunteer organisations, they were the ones that saved lives and minimised damage.
So one of the critical things that you do is that you have networks across your communities. You know who the leaders are. You know the church groups, the residents association, the women's groups, the men's groups. You know all those. You can help connect us with those people when things go wrong. But you can also advocate for them to be involved in preparedness. So that's some critical things that you can do in that risk reduction and in preparedness. You should also be asking the council, how's your business continuity plan? Which we just used the other day for the fuel crisis, and Bob was in charge of that. So we're starting to do that stuff, but as a council, we have an obligation to be able to carry out our duties to the fullest extent possible after a large scale event. So you should be asking those questions. That's how we see emergency management, communities at the heart of it. So you are at the heart of it before, during and after. Purpose of the Act, community resilience, readiness, I've talked about that. During response, listening to your community and feeding that in through Lydia or John into the Emergency Operations Centre. We try and limit too much coming into the Emergency Operations Centre, otherwise we just have this huge amount of information coming through and we need to turn that into intelligence. Already we've got 32 community response teams that have a direct line into that. But governance should have a direct line via Lydia.
So is that the process? Community members via John, via.
So
Lydia?
you need to talk to John
Mhm.
and Lydia and say, how would you like the information to come through? So you can feed it into the emergency operations centre.
Then they triage it.
We turn information into intelligence.
Yeah.
Which helps us, when it's verified, we can make better decisions. So knowing what's happening in your community, dispelling rumours, when Lydia says this is currently what's happening, actually repeating that out in the community, we found, remember there was a big slip a few months ago.
Yeah, that was the slip up at Coralin.
Yeah, Coralin, up by the spur up there, Bailey Spur,
Yeah.
and people were posting stuff on Facebook that was AI generated and wrong. More and more of that is happening. So part of your role is making, hey, look, this is the truth. One voice of truth.
And where does the community response team fit in to this?
So community response teams fit in under Katie, and they have a direct line via liaison officers into the Intel function.
So on a communication and basis on response, we'll have community members coming to board members with concerns or issues, wanting information. We go via John, Barry and Lydia.
Yep.
And then at the same time, community might be going to the community
So
response team as well.
People, a small group of people in the community response team.
Yeah.
Who have been trained. They have that direct line via Selwyn Gets Ready, but also email right into them.
Okay,
So
so we
they're-
don't need to keep them informed as well. We just keep to our communication
Yep.
channel with John, Barry
Yep.
and Lydia.
So those groups of people that aren't in the community response team, but are ringing you saying, hey, look, what's happening? You can go, actually, this is what we know at the moment. This is what we don't know. This is what we're doing. This is what we want you to do.
Okay, no, that's very clear. Thank you.
So you also know those community champions. When we start to move into recovery and you've identified, hey, these are the things which we really need to get, the priorities, then you can get hold of me or the recovery manager and start to say, these are issues that we need to look at, which we might not know. So that stuff's really important in recovery.
And that goes directly to you.
That can come into our team. There'll be an appointed recovery manager, and that can come into the recovery manager. We normally calm the farm when we're moving into recovery, but during response, we need some quite clear communication lines. Otherwise, have a whole lot of stuff going, and it's really hard to filter that and then make good decisions. Reduction, really, really critical that, like I heard today about, was it the Hotorata River? And we've got the Central Plains going across there, and there's a very small gap under that. That definitely needs to be raised. So we should be looking at that stuff. One, it might take out the CPW stuff, and that's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix it. We know the rivers are aggregating. Some parts of the rivers have aggregated 500 mil in and around the Selwyn River. That's a hang of a lot of shingle, but we should be able to clean underneath those assets to keep the waterway free. And Dan should be able to advise on that. Dan's really good, really good. So I'd suggest that needs to go to our surface water team, but that needs to go through ECAN.
I'll talk to the CPW about that.
Yeah.
My son's got a trainee job there.
Okay.
But he finishes soon. It's one of those things. But we've got a direct line on there. We're shareholders anyway, so
I'd suggest that there's good photos taken.
yes.
Yeah, I've used SnapSense for that for some river work up at Arthur's Pass, and so that got into our network, and then I've spoken to those guys, and next thing I had engineers from Cord and our engineers, and next thing ECAN's engineers are there. So they do have the ability to be able to pull the ECAN engineers in, but going through that process where the job's got a number sometimes is a whole lot easier to follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can see a dollar spent in reduction, 4 to 13. I sort of say 4 to 6, it saves. So that's where I see you advocating for making sure culverts are cleaned, making sure stuff's sprayed, drains are cleaned out. We have issues with private owners who are supposed to clean out their drains. Other people clean their drains out, and then you have this patch of drain that's not cleaned out that the owner is supposed to look after. That's the stuff that would really, really help. That drives Cord and Gareth crazy.
Yep.
And the surface water too. Higher level stuff, why would we build in dumb areas? If you think we're building in dumb areas, talk to Bob. But that's the stuff, I mean, I get sick and tired of being rung at 2 o'clock in the morning to fix flooding. And I go, why the hell did we build there? Sometimes we can't stop it. The government allows things to happen. That's the way the planning stuff goes. But you should be looking at that stuff in your communities. Recovery, like I've said, making sure that that information, the feeling of your community, we normally step in and have community meetings really quickly. We don't tend to wait weeks. We did it in Dorlston when we had the flooding, I think it was 2 days in, and we were out there and were able to resolve a number of issues. But we also heard, the feeling of the community, hey, look, we've got to do something about that. So we are now looking at, well, we've just bought 50 temporary flood barriers, which will fill the protection gap. We've identified flooding issues in places. The surface water asset team are going, this is the long-term stuff. So here's the interim stuff. So we're now coming up with emergency response plan based on that, which I think is really cool, really cool. Cover on that, recovery, listen to community, let us know, support, and just show that leadership in your communities, which you do anyway.
Well, that's pretty good.
That is very good. Thank you.
Key takeaways. Act's going to change. In regards to the Act, the CE is now going to be personally liable for making sure emergency management is done properly in councils. And it's finable if he or she doesn't. The government is really screwing down responsibility to chief executives across New Zealand that you have to take this seriously. It's going to be a core function under the Local Government System Improvement Act. Emergency management will be a core function.
What about the government themselves, if they've done roads? Are they going to find themselves? Because they do some daft things on a regular basis. Change laws that don't mean, they seem to operate with a void of common sense.
Well, that's a rabbit hole I'm not eating.
I just had
It was very
one question.
awesome.
So with activities that you plan for an event of emergency, say we've got lots of rain and you want to get flooding.
Yep.
I just take an example, like Kirby has that big water race going down the middle of the town. Like, does somebody turn that off, or will? Yeah,
Yeah,
does
so
that
we'll have
council?
Yep, so council will get ahead of that, they'll see where the patterns coming in.
The intake and it'll become a great drain, get rid of the water.
And we work closely with Gareth, the service, the operational service team.
Yeah.
If we start to see some weather coming to rock towards out, we're doing stuff, and they're getting better and better on putting that stuff.
Oh, brilliant. Just curious. Thanks very much, Al. That
That's all.
clarifies.
So when we, in the minutes, when we get a pricing of this,
Yes, we can send that through. So yep.
and then we've got it. So we can have it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think then the board members, as board members, we need, there might be an action for us to maybe put some information together, or an action to talk to John around what is that, to just agree on what that process is.
Would be good if we had something to take to the DRAs.
Yeah.
Not all does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to volunteer to take the action to just initiate, because I'm quite passionate about being ready myself.
It's good.
And you'll do a good job.
Elsewhere.
I had a question. Up at Springfield, you were, level 5. Awesome. If the hall is not intended to be This is what I would look for the locals to say. That becomes basically welfare. It doesn't recognise this. How do we, what do we, is to do to promote the use of this? Is
Whether it's used as a welfare centre or not, it's up to me.
yeah. So if it's not being damaged too badly, it's a logical welfare. As opposed to fire service. Well, the school would be another one.
Yeah. So if it was a bit like structural engineering would go through it. So no one would be allowed into it until structurally is gone through it. And said yes or no.
Yeah.
If they said, oh, you can use parts of it, it's no, not down to offer. So we won't be using it. Doesn't have showers, does it?
Not.
So it may be a community-led centre if it's able to be used, and that's fine. Which is a semi-welfare centre, but we don't normally have people stay overnight here. No, but we can use anywhere.
Yeah. It seems like the kitchens and stuff like that. Valuable resource.
Absolutely. So don't get hooked up on that. It's not an authorised designated welfare centre.
Right.
We'll use what we need to use.
There is a backup if it's safe to use.
Yep.
It depends on the circumstances.
Absolutely, of course it does.
Yep.
It's amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Mine needs it.
The trouble is we don't have enough trained civil defence centre or welfare centre people to run 20 of them across Selby.
Yeah.
So we tend to go, okay, we've used the West Melton Community Centre, Lincoln Event Centre, you might use the Sports Centre, we concentrate on those main things. But I'm 100% know that we need to keep people in their communities if we can. So maybe come and work with the community. Come in, the local community response team can help run it, but people might not be asleep.
It could really become a clearinghouse.
Yeah.
For
But
coordination.
we can use the school, I mean, in a state of emergency, the controller can go, I'm having this, and use it. Try not to do that for schools because we actually want kids to go back to school as fast as we can, because that keeps social cohesion. We've seen that in a number of events. The longer the schools are closed, the harder it is. But it brings a sense of normality, particularly for kids and get them to school.
Right. Well, I think that's
That's all thoroughly done.
very good discussion. Thanks.
Well,
Samantha, you've got some answers you need. And,
Yes, I do. Thank you.
but they'll come in the minutes.
Yes, yes, yeah, we'll circulate that. So, whatever.
We can make it. Now, mileage claim report.
So, exercise.
Yeah.
Kelly Harris, yes, he's on the line.
Kia ora, can you hear me?
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
Excellent. And you can see me as well?
You get up here.
If you go to that, yeah, sorry.
Oh, we've gone back to the small screen.
I'm a talking head. Kia ora. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about the mileage claims report. So actually I've been working on this report with Bipple as well. So Bipple has helped me from a governance perspective. So he's there to answer some questions as well. But I guess I was asked to prepare this report just to enable the community board to have a bit of a discussion around what constitutes an appropriate mileage claim for the purpose of us processing those claims, and where we've actually landed after looking at the relevant legislation and the Remuneration Authority determination is that it's not actually clearly defined what community board business is. So that leaves our team in a bit of a conundrum when we're looking at your claims and when community board members are submitting claims for different things. So we think this is just a bit of a springboard for a discussion amongst the community board as to what you all agree it consists as community board business for the purpose of making those claims. And so what we've actually recommended is that the community board resolve how you want to go about this, just to ensure clarity and consistency for everybody, and it makes it much easier for my team when they're processing your claims. So I'm happy to take any questions, but as you can see there, we've recommended a resolution for the board to clarify what you consider to be community board businesses, and if you want to tweak any of the wording of that, I'm happy to give some advice on that as well following your discussion.
Thank you very much. So you've given us 4 options there, haven't you? There are 4 options in the report.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so the blue wording, the blue italics wording is option 1. That's our recommended option, but obviously it's open to the board to discuss and agree a different option. If you think that you want to require community board approval for all business, if you want to go with option 3 and make sure that that the board is agreeing on what you're doing in advance, then we can tweak the wording accordingly. But obviously we wouldn't recommend that, because that would mean that every community board meeting you would be going through exactly what everybody's going to be doing in the next month, and that might actually limit your ability to do things like urgent business. So I think it's better that you do have some clear sort of consistent definition up front, with the option of allowing community board approval, on at a later stage for other items that don't fit within the definition that we've recommended.
All right, now open for discussion.
So I had a couple of points. One is I totally understand the need for clarification regarding community board business. And I understand the details in option 1. However, I feel like option 1 is very narrow. One around residents association meetings. As you know, residents association meetings is only one of a few types of community group meetings. So just a note whether we could change it and to include community groups. Because it doesn't really represent all of community, the residents association. It's only representing the members that belong to those association. So if we could broaden that scope, that would be good. And the other reason why I feel option 1 is too narrow is that it requires us to have board approval in advance of going to meetings. And if we are moving to meeting as a board every 2nd month, it might not be practical. So I sort of prefer option 2, but even option 2, if we could make some changes to the wording around including community groups, that might make it more practical. What does, open for thoughts.
Perhaps if board approval was changed to chairman's approval, might make it a little bit easier.
Then we just have one person to ask.
Yeah.
Well,
how does the chair feel about it?
Yeah.
I think it's so I think that's a bit belittling. And it takes away the initiative of us as board members. There's a number of things that I've been to at Arthur's Pass, and so some of them would be meeting with council staff, some of it's been meeting with ECAN staff, some of it's been meeting with with CORD, and some of it with other organisations such as Kia Conservation Trust. So I don't feel very comfortable having to ask for permission to be able to attend those. Those are things that are valid within our community, the community activities, and I think that there needs to be some recognition that that we're going to be responsible and as constrained as possible, but I don't think that we need that level of control over us. I mean, the option 2 suits me a bit better with a broader scope, but I find that option 1 is pretty narrow.
thank you. Yeah. Well, I as board chairman, I wouldn't want to be making a decision on everybody what to do. I mean, that's probably fun how do we sometimes. and miss out going. I mean, I think there's going to be a bit of a common sense approach to it.
Yeah.
And we're all meant to be responsible people, and I'm sure we're not going to go willy-nilly off just to give another night out sort of thing. But we need to get this sorted out. Was there any claims made this month?
I haven't checked it now.
No.
Yeah, we'll check on the 10th, just before like
Okay.
next month.
No,
So nothing's happened.
I did, but I think it was like 50 or 60 or 80 Ks. It was just very minimal this month. It ebbs and flows a fair bit because I did get a ring from one of the council staff and he says, when are you next going to get others fast? And I'm not going up there especially flat. So yeah.
Well, maybe we could delete those options we don't like, and then to narrow it down to the ones that we prefer best then.
Well, off the 4 is option 2, which is the more gets most support from us people here today.
My preference would be option 2.
And I like option 2.
Yeah, and mine would be as well. So it does give us some clearer some clearer lines of accountability, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about just reading that there. We don't have to get prior board approval. That makes sense because like going to the last 2 workshops on the halls. Otherwise, I'd have had to contact you and say, is it all right to go up to the hall at Springfield and up at Sheffield, you know? Whereas the other day when I went, I was able to do a meeting at Sheffield on the way to the meeting at Springfield and pull back in again on the way through.
No, I don't want that kind of involvement really. It's
You don't want to ring you every 5 minutes.
The good thing about it is that it's put us all on notice to be as fiscally responsible as we can, and to be able to carpool and do those sorts of things as well. So I think it's going to it'll make sure that we understand that our behaviours and that there are limits that we need to keep to.
Yeah.
and because the budget's been trimmed a bit this year, particularly the travelling allowance one, it may well be that we're can be right up against it there in that department, but then it's the first 6 months of our term, isn't it? So we didn't have much to go on.
I'm
So
getting
to
a
speak.
bit under the
No.
table.
But we have made some savings in other areas as well. So
Yeah.
across, it'll be a little bit of swings and roundabouts, won't it? Across the whole of the financial pack.
Yeah.
Well, Sophia, you got any, if we go for option 2, is there anything there that needs a bit more understanding by us?
So I guess what I would recommend is that you resolve accordingly what you mean by broader scope. So it sounds like what you're talking about is that it's up to the community board members' discretion, obviously with this understanding that you've talked about around ensuring that you're being responsible and fiscally responsible, etc. But that the resolution that you could make today could be that it's up to the individual community board members' discretion to determine what is appropriate for the purposes of community board business. So that's what I would consider to be a broad scope. That's option 2. I can quickly send through some wording there to Bipple so that you can make that resolution if you like. I think resolving that is essentially what we're asking for, to ensure that there's that clarity for staff members so that we're not unsure when we're processing claims that are made on that basis.
We've just had John Berry come into the meeting now.
Got a councillor?
He may have some input into this. So if we just ask John, welcome John.
I think you're trying to be lazy.
Never mind. We're on the mileage claim options, and we've more or less agreed that option 2 suits everybody fairly well. Have you got any strong input or thoughts
So
on
can I
any of the
just
4?
refresh my memory on option 2?
So option 2 is where there's it's a broad definition of what community board business is, and it's essentially over to individual community board members' discretion, and that prior board agreement is not required for a board member to attend any event.
I think from a sort of my perspective, that it may be just a little bit broad in the fact that there is sort of, because is there a cap on the mileage that can be claimed in any one year?
We budgeted for 15,000 for the year. So other than that, I don't think that there is a cap in respect of the determination. It's more council fiscal responsibility in ensuring that we're budgeting appropriately for what you're anticipating spending.
Yeah, and given the view that the councillors have sort of took a fairly tight line on delegations to try and get more accountability, not from a bad point of view, but just, so I think option 3 would be my, but that's just my,
Community board approval for all business.
well, I think that,
Does that mean canvassing everyone on the board?
no,
No, well, that's what it suggests in that wording, that's all.
maybe the wording could be changed.
Yeah.
We see, when it says in advance, things crop up that we don't know about.
Mm.
And we're going to be every second month. So you're not going to know in advance, those kind of things.
I'd like to see in option 2 a little rider that just says for community board members who are undecided that they should contact either the chair or another community board member
To check.
to check.
Yeah, that's actually quite a good idea.
And that way,
Making it a
Yeah.
fact.
it's taking it at a more of a board level than on an individual
Yeah.
level.
Because I suppose, and I'm a little bit light on because I haven't had a chance to refresh my memory on them, but it seems to me that you don't really want 2 people arriving at the one meeting both claiming mileage.
No.
And if 2 people go, there's one person claims the mileage
Yeah.
or gets a ride.
Well, it's like us the other day, you know, with 3 of us in the one car.
Yeah.
And you know, Samuel was just coming out to our place and then taking the other car from there. But yeah, well, that was easy.
So John, the couple of reasons we raised why option 1 was not preferred was because it was quite stringent on the rules.
Yeah.
And it calls out specific groups like residents association, but it doesn't mention community groups in general, because we could be needing to be at other community groups in general. And 2, the practicality of it, because we're only going to be meeting once every second month.
Second month.
And so the broader scope
Needs to
was
be there.
more practical, but we could change the wording on option 2 if we are missing something.
May I suggest a potential amendment? So you can go to option 2 and keep that broader scope, but have a bit of a hybrid approach where you see in option 1 where it lists all these different type of things which you'll be attending. Actually bring those things as, if you're going to be attending things, these are the things that we'd expect you. Take out the prior agreement, or effectively if these are the type of things that you should be claiming mileage for. There's always those things that fall outside of that, but it provides a bit more of a framework into option 2.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I live with that.
Yeah. So we marry those 2 together.
And if we are marrying it together, then maybe if we can include community groups.
Yes.
Yeah, or remove residents association and replace it with community groups.
I mean, for instance, you could get someone like the Melbourne Lions, called Melbourne Lions, because they want to be involved, and we want to go and see something because they want to have fundraising, but it's interest to us. We'd want to be able to go there and see.
Exactly.
Those are the kind of things that.
Which are outside of that listed, but
Yeah. It's like when Glencoe have their they're going to have a boot sale. And they'd expect us their presence there, or when we were out planting trees at the planting days. You know, we're more than happy to go and do that. So, although I don't know whether we claim for that income.
And I suppose from my point of view that like as a specific example, Greendale are having a midwinter Christmas potluck.
Yeah,
I would see that I would attend that in my own personal capacity, because although I'm representing council and supporting the association, there's quite a private benefit to
And
that.
it's a social event
Yeah.
rather than
yeah,
a business event.
Yeah.
I think if we concentrate on that as social and business, then that's gives a good distinction.
And the other thing too that rather than sort of having, say, board approval in advance, does it help if sort of an email's flicked through to the chair or a telephone conversation, just saying that looking at a differently constituted board may not have our sort of view on it, and trying to put those not constraints, but parameters around it, so that the mileage, because it's a large area, and if the mileage is going to be a significant thing, at the end of the day, in the next financial year, the targeted rate is likely to have to be increased, because it's ratepayers that are at the end of the day footing the bill rather than the remuneration authority. That's where I'm coming from, Sophie, if that helps.
we did cover even and it's on a case by case basis.
All right.
He wasn't that keen on it.
No, fair enough.
It could very much well be by exception. So you could have this list. These are the expected council business, and anything that falls outside of that could be to
Board or the deputy, or the
yeah.
deputy. board.
Yeah, or deputy chair.
yeah.
Sorry, chair or deputy.
If you like, you can, if you leave the item on the table for 10 minutes while you address the next item, I can quickly come up with some wording that hopefully captures the discussion that's been had just now, and you can consider the item again in 10 minutes, and I'll forward the draft wording in through to Bipple, so you can resolve it today rather than having to wait until the next meeting.
I'll be interested in how you managed to reconfigure 3C.
I'll see what magic I can work in 10 minutes.
We're gonna have a break, for a break now, so.
Yeah.
10 minutes, quarter an hour, well, cup of tea. Cup of break. I'm gonna get.
Great. I'll work on that and send it through to Bipple and be back online when you reconvene.
Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you.
One of the cool things about being on the board with them, bloody
All right, we'll back on again. Board members, there's two things that come up. There's, well, we had the break, there's some minutes to sign, the CEO's, acting CEO's, report. So that was. It moved to second.
You move it.
I'm happy to second.
Moved and seconded, all those aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Gary, thank you. And we've got this other thing here, we did this now, this resolution, you've got a copy of the resolution here for, the other community board.
Is Sophie ready to fly?
Oh, are you there now, Sophie?
Yes, hello. I have just sent through an email. I've copied it. If those members who have got their laptops in front of them, I've sent it to your emails there. And Bipple has a copy there for the minutes. If obviously subject to any further changes that you'd like to see. So you just wait a couple of seconds there while you bring it up.
We'll get people to print that out to so everyone has a physical copy in front of them.
Okay.
All right, we'll do this other, resolution that we've got here in front of us, just been tabled. Councillor Berry, you'd like to,
I'll move it. So
that sounds it?
background to it is that when the representation review happened last year, West Melton got separated from the community board. So from the beginning of 14th of October to the 30th of June, they paid a $26 targeted rate to the board. And I just feel that
Portion thereof.
that portion of the $26 between the 14th of October to the 30th of June, we should receive a report from council officers to say, can they identify that amount? Are there any restrictions on us moving a motion at a future meeting that goes back to benefit the West Melton community, and that the members of the West Melton Community Residents Association have identified that there's a trust scholarship fund that would be a good way to send that money if it comes to it.
Follow that logic.
And thank you, Sophie, for the resolution.
All right, so that's a bit of a tidy up. It reminded me of the gamble estate tidy up.
I'm sure ex-member Payne and current councillor Wilshire would support this.
All right, well, that's a good cause, and it's just.
It is justified.
All right, so.
So if you're going to move it, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Berry, and remember, Kim said, all those ayes.
Aye.
Against carried. Well done, John. Move on to reports now, and I'll start off with my own one here, and one. Take the text report was read. There was one correction, I think, on page 32, I think, on the week out on the meeting that I attended, Silver Water, I think. I put the 21st down and another meeting was 28th, so I think the 28th is more right. It's only quite like to get that. Since then, I attended the Dartford Residents Association. And at that meeting, we talked about having a local meeting here to start the process off to try and get some concrete planning for the ongoing healthcare in Dartford, and being Dartford Hospital in the centre of it and for the whole of the Melbourne County. So Wayne Lawson was appointed from the DRA to come to that meeting, and we'll bring that meeting up. Then the meeting, Councillor Berry will make a report on that. So that's added to that, my report, and also I went to the Sheffield Hall Committee on the 22nd. So So I'll move them to the second, please.
Second it.
Yep. Well, resolution, all in favour, aye.
Aye.
Yes, carried.
Follow up on my report, I'll take it as read. I got to put a retraction in on the date of 22nd, the toy library. I was told that they've been addicted to the presence of asbestos. I have heard, and I was told that by a person up that way, that is possibly not the case. I'll say possibly because it's likely there may be some asbestos in the building, but I do not know. So I was only repeating what I was told, so I've got to retract that information. Other than that, my comments about it not being settled to the whole account are very, very relevant still.
Absolutely good points, page
Page 33. On 22nd, okay, this toy library.
thanks, thank you. All right, any discussion on Alan's report?
Can I just add a comment that the council agreed for the toy library to stay until the 30th of June.
Yeah.
And the toy library are in the process of looking for alternative premises.
They found something.
And I think that it's going well.
Yeah.
So they will hopefully advise.
They're going up to the old, okay, that place.
Thank you.
They're going to that place.
Thank you, the township. Still the same township.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to prejudice the commercial negotiations.
Oh, okay, I was under Jane and been told that it had been sorted already. Anyway, mind.
All right, so-
Sorry, one thing I would like to add, Colgate Residents Association, they're that first set of number plate cameras, they've already got their first villa. But they're on about putting some more in. I think, can the board, or should the board, is it appropriate for the board to write to them and thank them for the fact that they're doing fundraising to do this themselves with no assistance from council, or is that rubbing salt in the wound?
Well, no, I think it just tells the council, if you like, what the DRAs are doing.
Yeah.
Associations are doing. I think that's all good news.
Yeah, $8,600 is a lot of funds raised from the local community to actually put their own number plate recognition cameras. But they really, really, really do want some decent streetlights, please.
Yes.
So are you asking for an action point that governance acknowledge the effort that the Colgate Residents Association
I think it
made?
didn't hurt to write to them to say, hey, listen, well done. Does that make sense, Mike? It's a lot. They've done a
Would you
lot of,
want that from the Melbourne?
I think.
Yes, it should come from the board.
From the board. Yes, I think that's a lot of money that they've already raised, and they're now looking for another
And
7,500.
It shows our support, so
Yeah.
absolutely.
What kind of what effect has it had so far?
Well, they someone rocked up there and they got their car and they spotted the number plates on that car, and then the person we used a stick to put a cover over the camera, so they've got the details of the person's car. So they've caught their first potential villain.
And I believe it wasn't a Colgate resident, because
No.
they wouldn't be so stupid as to drive up to the camera, get out and put their bag over.
Absolutely.
Police have used those in other areas though for tracking vehicles. So I know the ones in Methven, they tracked it there, and next thing there's another one pinged in bloody Lewis Pass, and then they got the guy in Reefton. So those are really good as part of vehicle tracking network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just great that the local residents are doing it instead of putting their hand out to council and asking council to fund it.
Well, thank you. To be moved that you moved.
Yeah, I'd like to move that my minutes be will be accepted, please.
I second. Oh, yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Berry. All those aye.
Aye.
It's carried. And Barry, your verbal updates.
My verbal update, it'll be short. So I did attend the Other Sparks Association annual general meeting in Christchurch, and also attended by Councillor Very and Mayor Glidden. A really well attended evening. We had a great presentation from a lady from DOC Kia Habitat, their localities and their migration, which was very interesting to everybody that was there. And that's really what I've done this month. I've contracted with the Care Conservation Trust on the proposed bylaw, and that's a little work in progress in the background.
Do you want to add an update on the anniversary celebrations for the Arthur's Pass?
Oh, yes. So
Not telling you what to do.
no, well done. So upcoming, there is a centenary of the Arthur's Pass National Park, and the Residents Association there have put together a group that is constructing a book for the occasion, and with contributors from across a wide range of activities within the Arthur's Pass and wider, and it's fully illustrated. The Selwyn District Council has given a grant towards the publication of it, which has been most appreciated. So it has been done. A similar effort was done in the past for the centenary of the rail tunnel a year or so ago. So
And so it's 100 years now, is it, or soon?
soon,
Yeah.
I think it's next year.
year.
I think it's next year. Yes.
Year away.
Yeah. We're about 3/4 of a year away or whatever. But yes, of that.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Oh, well, I'll move that your report be received.
I'll second that, please.
Thank you, guys.
All in favour, say aye. Thanks, carried. Thank you. Now, Samantha, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move my board report be received for information. I just have a few updates. One around the train trial. So planning continues with Mainland Rail regarding a train trial, which is anticipated now for later in the year. One option being considered is the use of DMU rail cars, diesel multiple units.
Yeah.
These are less expensive to operate and can be easily integrated into the network.
Yeah.
So Mainland Rail are still assessing feasibility on this option, and I continue to work with Mainland Rail and still determined to have a trial. So we will continue.
Excellent work, and that was a very well patronised way of rail travel in the past.
So it used to be great.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. Yeah.
Special occasions, special events
Well,
at the time for start.
so the purpose is to do a once-off trial, moving forward to increase it to special events, and then hopefully it will be a business case for communities sometime in the future.
Because if you could turn around and configure those rail cars so that there was a garage in the back for the e-bikes and e-scooter, then all of a sudden they become a viable way of going into town and commuting to work.
An alternative.
Yeah.
Or alternative transport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which segues very nicely into my next update around Selwyn spatial plans. So I provided the board with an individual submission that I sent to Councillor John Berry in response to the Selwyn spatial plans. So the proposal is around integration of transport and spatial planning to include rail. And I feel that this is a gap in the current approach for spatial planning for Selwyn. And a decision for feedback from the board of it is if the submission is something the board would like to support as well, I'm happy to rewrite the submission to include to be a board submission as opposed to an individual submission. What do the board feel?
I don't think it hurts the board to support commuter rail or train trials in that regard.
Yeah.
I think I'd be comfortable supporting it.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable for that to be a board submission.
Brilliant, thank you. And
Or can we move that? Can we?
shall I move it?
Yep.
Okay, I move the board to accept a board submission with regards to my proposal around Selwyn spatial plans.
I'll second that.
Secretary Barry, any further discussion?
When does Councillor John Berry need the updated submission by?
Probably if it went to the mayor, because she's on the Canterbury Regional Transport Committee.
Was there set
And-
date again that Selwyn spatial plans?
I guess just to add, so I'm the ELT sponsor for the Selwyn Spatial Plan
brilliant.
Development, so I can provide a bit of- so we're not actually open consultation at the moment, so while we can receive this and, you know, land use planning and transport network planning is hand in hand, it's 101 special planning type stuff, so we can receive this and we acknowledge it, but we're not actually open up for consultation, so there's no real time frame for this.
Brilliant.
Noting that we would be anticipating to bring spatial planning workshopping back to the Malvern Community Board. So that briefing that we gave in April was effectively this is what's going on. And we're actually provided more of an active workshop for particularly the Malvern area as part of that whole plan.
Shall I email it to yourself?
Effectively, yeah, email to me.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's sitting there as an advanced paper, isn't it? So it's a bit like what we've done with the other LTP advanced notifications.
Brilliant. I'll
All
keep
right, so
going
you-
with my
so-
update.
So you moved it and we passed it, didn't we?
I moved it.
Yes.
We passed.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Next update with regards to the 3-year strategy meeting. The board met on the 18th of June with the board members that did attend to review the feedback around the 3-year strategy and a couple of decisions for the board to make. One is the feedback around the feedback from Sister City Committee regarding travelling to Ubetsu in September 2027. If there are any board members that are considering, if you could let me know so that it can be considered for planning purposes. You don't have to make a decision, but just to, if you're thinking about it, then we can include you in the council of Sister City Committee can.
I would give an indication.
Thank you, John. Other than that, I will move my board report to be accepted.
Okay, for a second.
Yeah, unless anyone had any further questions. I'm just wondering if I missed anything. Community update. I did have an update, sorry, and that's related to the Kiwi Community Association, Residents Association. They have a new secretary, Matt Salaz, who's been elected at the last meeting.
Well, I've got one more, before we take John's one, could I just add that,
Does somebody need to move my report? Be accepted?
I would move it.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
all say aye?
No,
Yes, great, thank you. I left one thing off my report because I knew the Japanese garden bits thing was coming up.
Mhm.
It was, but the Dartford Residents Association have asked me to remind council to get the water feature going again. It's been out of action for at least 3 weeks. And the other thing is it needs a new plaque put on the remembrance. The remembrance plaque must have been put up by the Return Service for the Boer War and the First World War. You can't, it's gone white, you can't read it, it's got a crack on it. So it's a big piece of marble being put to the brick block wall, and I think over time with movement, it's cracked the jolly thing, but even if it wasn't a crackly, and who does that?
I think if we lodge it as an action for us to go away and actually
Have a look at it.
have a look at it,
Yeah.
then we can pull it back.
And one thing does look really nice, Trimu aluminium plate that's engraved and then polished and paint filled and lacquered. It'll last for ages, won't rust and look.
Well, if you look at it that way, if you go and look at the thing, all the other plates around, they've got little things about steam engines and that, and they're on plates about as big as your screen. And we've got that they're as good as they put up. But this one was
Just don't make them out of bronze or brass because
No,
some little person will take them away and melt them down for scrap.
but I just thought, when I was walking around the other day then and looking at this water feature, that needs tidied up because
Yep, so we'll take that both as action points.
The water feature, why doesn't somebody just raise a snap scene solve and put it through his business as usual?
well, I don't know, I got the job to do that, but when I was down there, I found this other thing, so I'll
Take a photograph of it, put it through snap scene solve, and then
I've done half.
it's got a job number, somebody will do something.
Now, councillor Berry, your report, please.
Yeah, I'll move that we take as read.
Isn't it?
Yep.
All in favour, aye.
I,
Members arising?
So I suppose Head Start is one that the 62nd survey got 6,900 responses, and about 43% said we'd like to a little bit more information to decide what to do. And the workshop yesterday, councillors and staff came to the I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, opinion that the survey results supported Selwyn standing alone. Christchurch seemed to be working on the issue about whether they want to go alone or include other areas. And then to the north, Waimakariri, Huranui and Kaikoura seem to be pretty much in agreement that they're a cohesive unit. And then to the south, Timaru South, and probably Ashburton, and then there's further discussion yet whether Ashburton and Selwyn. But the main thing is that the functions of the regional council will transfer to the district councils, and that's mainly the rivers and what have you. But it seemed that there was room in actually saying if you've got unitary authorities, which is the territorial district authority council and the
John's
regional.
if I could just
Yeah,
interrupt, sorry, just be careful that the workshop was PX, so just be aware how far you may want to
go. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's some work to be done there, and then looking at it, and I suppose I can go from a public forum that the local government New Zealand did a advisory group meeting, and some of the ideas that were floated there was that the regional council things like transport, catchment and spatial planning could be regional wise, like we've got the mayoral forum, so that you've got your unitary authorities, and then over the top of that you've got the regional matters, and how that would be constituted would be up for discussion. And I think that we're working through to try and get something out to the public with a bit of direction, so that the 40-odd% that said they'd like further information can get further information and go with that. But at the moment it's fluid. Sorry. Yeah.
Would you like to comment on the council meetings, the halls? You've
Yeah.
been to 2 or 3.
So the meetings with the halls went well, and the reason I was late because there was a portfolio meeting, and myself and councillor Denise Carrick are on the community portfolio. So there seems to be at this stage a clear direction coming through that one size fits all won't work, that there would need to be a bespoke model so that each hall, and that's being worked through, and then something will come back to council shortly to clarify that. But from my information that I've gleaned from attending them, it seems that whilst it's not unanimous, that council retain the ownership and the major operation of them.
Yeah.
And that the minor maintenance and maybe booking could be done on a hall by hall basis, or else the minor maintenance and the booking could be retained by the council.
Yeah. It was interesting feedback on those sessions that the workshops they ran, having been to 2 of them, that the locals are very keen on taking on more work, but it always also comes down to it's the same people doing it all the time. So they've got to go and get their act sorted out as well a little bit better to make it work. It was interesting feedback. They'd like to set their own charges, and one comment made up in Springfield, a guy wanted to have his birthday party at the hall. When he turned it, worked out it cost him $500. He said, "Get it, go to the pub and spend it there instead." So the locals would like to have a lot more say in the running, but they also think they can get them a lot busier than they are at the moment too.
And I think that was one of the things too that came up at the community portfolios meeting, was that there may be merit in actually getting back to council and saying, if you change your commercial model whereby you're looking for a rate of return on the hall,
Yeah.
to a more community model where you're looking at the measure of being usability,
Yeah.
that should provide the balance. And also the fact that the recent change to the alcohol policy, where you can now, under certain circumstances, have alcohol at the halls, will probably. So I think things overall are moving in a fairly positive direction.
Would you like me to comment on that paper I wrote for Steve?
That's what, yes, we want that now.
Yeah, so I'll bring that up now because Steve came out and we did a deep dive on the hall finances. And one of the major things we found were errors. So the councillors are being asked to consider financial reports that aren't accurate. And the expenses for the Sheffield and Springfield Hall, insurance wasn't covered. And the income for the halls, there was no rates revenue included within them. So the figures here that we were given don't actually work out. But so basically when Steve and I were talking about how we might work the halls, and bearing in mind the feedback that's coming through, we came up with a collaborative operational model that could work quite well, where the income has a threshold bar. Council cover they do the heavy lifting of the insurance, heavy building maintenance, rates, power and heat. And beyond that, the potential work cover residents could include the light building maintenance, caretaking, ground and parts. The residents would do a lot more of the booking costs of the hall, which reduces the staff expenses as well. But it allows them to push the usage up. Once that council income threshold or council expense threshold was met, anything revenue above that could potentially then be returned to the local community to use for local events. So it actually gives them a good reason to help promote their halls and push them while reducing the expenses the council are expected to pay out as well. So it's a model worth considering. And I've done this paper staff. Steve was going to release it for staff, the sanitised version, as one option that might be worth considering, that would give our local residents groups a lot more say in running their halls and keep them in their hands. One of the things that came out from our meetings that we've had regarding the halls and from the workshop is there's a real disconnect between what urban residents feel a hall's about and what the locals feel the hall's about. And, you know, if you go out, the further you go out, it seems to be the stronger they are, but it's the glue that holds that community together. And if you potentially disinvested those halls, then you're actually going to gut that community. So it came out really, really strong. So they want to do more. There's a good model there that might be worth considering by council to then approach the RAs out there and say, does this work for you as an option?
Well, is it agreed then by the board that that paper goes? Steve's already got a copy.
Steve's got a copy.
So
And I'll supply a copy to our other members who haven't seen it. I'm not trying to blindside you. It was something that I've been working on with Steve about this, because it's one of the things that I've been firmly told by the RAs that I deal with, that we need to be all over and supporting them.
right. Well, we'll leave it. It'll come up again at the next meeting, because by that time there'll be another series of rounds of
Hmm.
Yeah.
So keep that and get it to on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yep, okay.
And if anyone wants a copy in the meantime, I've read the email copies of the
That's the
sanitised one.
sanitised one.
Can you, flick it through to me?
I'll give you, more than happy to send it through.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think-
And likewise, if you've got any improvements for it, let me know.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I think the finances are being addressed so that
Yeah.
there's greater
Yeah,
parallel and matching up as we move forward
yeah.
from the 1st of July.
Yeah, I said to Steve, that's the big bugbear. If you could go back with an absolutely accurate financial report on each of those halls, so that we know where we are sitting. So we, like, if you look at the targeted rate for Springfield, how much of that targeted rate went into their own hall? Because if you tell them, well, there's no rates income on your hall, where's that money gone? It's all been they think automatically it's all been used to support West Melton, Lincoln, etc., and not looking after their own halls. We can't have them do that.
All right, thank you.
Right.
We'll get that thing. John, just one thing that I found interesting in the report was you mentioned about the wastewater upgrades, well, not upgrades. And I like the way you put it. I thought you said that if Southern Water hadn't been established, this problem might have never arisen. So I'd not been discovered.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's
I think it's out there, but
Well, it is.
but certainly not to the degree that people know now.
right. That's okay. The situation, I suppose, the thing is, it's a bit like whenever any new organisation takes over, they do due diligence, and the due diligence is usually much better than the previous organisation, whether it's Selwyn District Council or whoever, and it really is, because I think I'm still getting, and a lot of my colleagues on the council are still getting pushback. Well, why didn't you listen to the 85%? And I think we're now gradually starting to get movement on from that. And when we have a look at the Selwyn Water Limited consultation for the engagement, they only got about 58 people replying. But I think in fairness to that, there's a large majority of people in Tawera, Malvern, who don't have town supply and have their own sewage. So a lot of people
They're not going to engage, are they?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. And then our colleagues in other parts of the district probably did as much consultation and feedback as they usually do.
Yeah.
Well, I campaigned on this because I knew it was happening in Garfield. And I'm not going to say any more because I've got a conflict of interest, but the point is that it's being addressed, I take it now.
The capacity of the Pines wastewater treatment plant. I've known about that for years, and it's kind of been just
Under the radar.
Yeah.
or glossed over because it is quite a difficult issue to resolve.
Yeah, I put a legumer in relating to the capacity of the Pines water plant, and I really wanted to know how percentage full it is. The response I got didn't address my confusion at all. I couldn't explain, I couldn't read it and explain to myself how full it was. I wanted to know how much it was costing to take the biosolids over the West Coast per truckload. I'd like to know how much money we spend on that. There was no figure addressing that shown at all in the Lagoma.
In terms of the capacity, I can have a talk to you about that offline.
It's pretty full.
All right, John, but the thing is, you brought it up, it's now in writing that needs to be issued. The issue needs to be addressed.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's that's the
the point.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that I'm awesome in my transparency.
all right. So
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And
So
it is an issue, and it's been glossed over, and it is quite problematic to deal with.
Yeah.
And the additions that are coming to go to it are going to further compound that. So
and that's the thing about Mr. Chair, sorry, that really the implications for here are that there's subdivisions in Darfield as well as throughout that really, in my opinion, are going to be difficult connecting to the wastewater. And at the same time, what do we do? Because we've got subdivisions approved and they're going ahead. Are they going to be, what? And then there's the other issue that Darfield Residents Association have been raising for the last 18 months, probably longer, that the properties on the other side of the railway line whose resource consents are about to expire or whose systems are no longer working effectively, they're not going to be able to join because new subdivisions are, in my words, getting priority and jumping the queue.
Yeah.
Whereas what we should be doing is saying, slow down on the new subdivisions and let the older properties get their things, especially the commercial ones. And then there's the other one of the trade waste.
Yeah, so there's one big thing that Selwyn Water need to do, and it's the same with all of water treatment systems, is to deal with stormwater ingress, and so because that effectively means that it lifts the capacity of the plant, because right now the capacity is here, and as soon as you get to stormwater ingress, it's here, and then there's your problem. So Selwyn Water will need to take a lead on that, and they will need to have support from council to be able to do that too, because that sits alongside building consents, codes of compliance, all of those sorts of things. So the regulatory side of SDC will need to be part of how that's dealt with.
All right, okay, so we've passed have you moved it, John? And some of them,
Everything.
you said it.
Yeah, everything.
All right, all goes on.
Aye. Done.
We didn't get end of the thing now. What about these payments that just come through? We do that to do the thank you.
We can.
Now,
This is on the travel.
This is on the mileage.
Yes. So I did squirt back to Sophie, an addition of one line.
Can you add that?
Yes, I saw that, and I'd recommend adding that to paragraph 1B. You could just say council meetings, workshops, briefings, or hearings, including with council staff, council contractors, or council consultants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that meetings with staff would come under 1B under council meetings, but just for clarity, you can add that extra bit on the end.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So essentially, the changes that I've drafted there. Oh, you might be able to hear me better if I'm like that. Sorry, I didn't have my microphone down. So the changes that I've made following the discussions earlier, you'll see that there's the clean version in blue, and then down below you can see the track changes. So essentially I've removed any reference to requiring approval in advance, and then to reflect Member Samuel's suggestion around ensuring that it's community events. So, and you see in 1C there, I've put a community event to make it clear that it is community events, and likewise with 1D, I've said residents association or community group meetings, so it's not necessarily just residents associations.
Thank you.
Then I did actually add a point of clarity in 1F around training courses. So not just any training course, I did say concerning business that has been or will be coming before the board or the council, just so that it's not anything. And then likewise, actually I didn't underline it, but that exclusion there to reflect the discussion earlier that the members were talking about around making sure that the primary purpose of the event is around business and not social. And then I wanted to add in those 2 noting resolutions to reflect some of the discussions around ensuring that it's an efficient process so that there's not undue approvals required, and then noting the importance of fiscal responsibility to ensure that the board remains within budgeted amounts. So yes, happy to take any further questions, but hopefully that reflects the discussion.
Amen. I can live with that.
Well,
Thank you.
David. Yeah,
Well done.
that's good. Well, does any board member have another comment or discussion?
No,
No.
All right,
top job. Thanks, Sophie.
well, I'll move that we accept this option for the remuneration for the vehicle expenses.
I'll second that.
Or put the resolution, all types of aye.
Aye.
Yes, carried.
That wasn't very painful at all, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Well done.
Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you. I'll sign off now.
Thank you very much. Now, last night we've gone to the financial report. And well, taken for discussion, but I had one, I'll ask one of the things afterwards. Well, I can start off with, I just was, I saw that there was a claim for remuneration for council members against the board here, council's wages, February 06, 6,400. Now, is that yours, John?
I think it should be a typo. A miscode.
Well, I just wondered if that was,
But because my understanding is that my remuneration is from the councillor's pocket. And my travel, I don't do any travel for the community board, which would justify me claiming for the community board that's done through the council, because I'm just an appointed member.
okay, all right, well,
We can actually look into that.
could you?
Yes.
Um,
There's two, the councillor's pay and councillor's wages.
Yeah.
We can look into.
There's two there.
Yes.
You've got them there. All right, apart from that, well, it's open for discussion. So, well, if you go to the first, we've done the sister city and that's all more or less.
Oh, there's one thing in there on, I don't know, a couple of lines. They insist on spelling my name with a capital K. Could you get that changed, Rob, please?
Right on the priority one.
We will get it changed before October 2028.
When's the millennium up?
All right, well, is there any other further discussion on the financials?
No.
All right, someone move, please.
I'll move that.
Thanks,
Accept that.
Okay.
Second it, people say.
moved and seconded. No further discussions about the resolution, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried, thank you. Now, was there anything to come up at the last part after the meeting that we were going to hold at the end of the meeting? What did we decide here?
It's a civil defence thing, so I think
Done that.
we'll put it
Cover
off.
that, yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the only thing we were holding over.
John, were you going to report on the meeting we had this morning?
Yeah.
Please, because we kept it out. And I have reported that Dartford Residents Association appointed Wayne Lawson as the representative to the meeting we had this morning. So perhaps conclude the meeting, you could just outline what happened and what we were at, please.
Yep, so sort of met with the district nurses, the Friends of the Darfield Hospital, the Malvern Community Health Trust, Councillor Wilshire, and Wayne Lawson from and Liz from the Heroa Trust. Hanui Trust, sorry. And really the thing was twofold to say, well, look, what are we going to do about health services in Malvern? Probably Selborne, but we focus particularly on Malvern. And there were two things that came out. That there's the first one of the hospital. So at the moment, the hospital appears to be staffed fully. And no patients.
One.
There are one patient.
There's one patient.
So they can carry palliative care, they can carry respite, and they can take some convalescence, which is where you go to recover. So the thing is saying, well, look, if we've got it fully staffed, that's not very efficient.
No.
So we're going to get some facts and figures
Hmm.
and then work with or inform the District Health Board, Health New Zealand, whatever the terminology is nowadays, about this is the situation, and just sort of make a bit of noise saying it's not very useful.
Hmm.
But on a constructive note, having a look and saying, want to make sure that the hospital's maintained so that it doesn't fall into a massive state of disrepair, and then the health board say, well, look, costs too much to repair. There was the previous meetings where they came out and they said they'd get back to us by October, November. So we'll follow up on that. And then there's the second part, which is the longer term of doing a survey, and Wayne Lawson and Liz got nominated to coordinate that. So do a survey to find out what the needs in the district are, and then find out what's happening, what needs to happen, and more of a longer term, and also visit Oxford and Akaroa to get some working models. And then the group's going to come back on the end of July to report on that, and probably there'll be a press release at that time.
Those ministers' letters, the responses I sent you through, can I have those a second? Because I read them and I was on the impression that they'd gone and filled the hospital up and the beds were full.
We're told today is what the predecessor and what's actually happening are two different things.
Who were you thinking of surveying, John, to work out what the community need was?
Yes, the medical centre has 11
That's
physical
probably a
beds
question
and 10
for
accounting
Wayne
beds.
Lawson and Liz,
Okay.
but it was generally, and the people I'm mentioning it here, so you've got names to connect with, and so
Because I would have thought maybe the medical practice, if we have respite care or convalescent care, and they will know amongst their patient list how many that could potentially use it now that don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. And that's information that the district nurses are going to go.
Yeah.
There was an invitation to the medical centre because I believe that the medical centre has just recently changed hands yet again. And the one thing that was clear was that there is a shortage of medically qualified people, however you define them, and we're not really interested in addressing that. We're more interested, or the group was more interested in saying, look, let's try and get the utilisation of the hospital up, and let's have a look and see what are the needs for health, and how we can work with the council and other people and community funding and take it through from there. But as I said, Wayne and Liz are the two people that are doing that, and Samuel Wilshire and myself are working with the
and because the other thing is that
district nurses.
a lot of people out here don't go to this practice because they can't get in.
But they've got, so Whare in town will know who the hell they've got in Christchurch Hospital and who could actually use convalescent care out here, sure. I mean, they're not doing it. So how? Yeah,
And
they will be the ones on the convalescent side that know, not necessarily, as you said, the medical practice.
And what we were told today is that the morning shift, there's 2 nurses in 1 hospital aide.
Yeah.
Afternoon's the same, and the night shift is 1 nurse plus the hospital aide.
And then there's a nurse manager.
Nurse manager. And on top of that, they've got the catering,
Kitchen,
kitchen. Now, what I did find out today, I brought up that one of the things they do over there has been completely forgotten about is Meals on Wheels. And it is 5 days a week. You pay for it, but the Red Cross people do the deliveries. So 5 days a week, about 20, most days 10 to 12 meals a day. Sometimes up to 14 or 15 times a week.
So if if it's staffed at that level now consistently, what does that staffing level cover in terms of beds?
10.
So that number of staff would cover the 10.
Alan's got here a response to.
Well, I've got from 2 different ministers, Matt Ducey. I'm pleased that the Dartford Community Facility has measures cover for patients who meet standard admission criteria to ensure clinical safety. The medical centre has 11 physical beds and 10 are currently resourced. Health NZ's working
10 are
with
resourced,
to make sure referrals are managed in a timely manner and that admissions align with capacity. So I was under the impression from reading those that because we were told by the district nurses there were 30 odd people out here who like admission to the hospital type of thing. And if there's only one being used, then it's not changed at all. The minister, on the other hand, I am informed there are 11 bed spaces at Dartford Community Health Facility, which has been operating at up to 10 functional bed spaces. A recent count showed people in long-term residential care, aged residential care, and in respite care. And if one person
It
tells all
depends
those
on
things,
what you define by recent. And my understanding is once you kick over to the 11th bed, you've got to add staff.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the trigger.
yeah.
But
But
my understanding.
But if we've got another 10 people sitting out there that could be using that, and that's a resource that's sitting there unused,
And
what you're trying to do is find out where are they and how can we get them in there?
Why haven't we got them in there?
Yeah.
So that would then satisfy the ministers telling us that there are 10 beds resourced, but there's only one person in the place. It's
Well, this is a
pretty
perfect
tough.
example of officials not knowing
Yes.
what's happening on the ground. And that
Yeah.
meeting we had last month, we went from the DR at this meeting here to the one in the hall there, and they talked about our population growth and what the interesting was. And we've just been given council figures to say, and they're all completely wrong.
No.
So anyway, we think we've made a start to come up with something. We don't know what it's going to grow into yet, but
Reload those.
at least.
But at least the staff,
Yeah, and
the staffing side of it is there. So that's good because if it wasn't there, that was going to be a real problem.
And then the other thing is too, that from my understanding of what the registered nurses said, that as long as you've got a doctor somewhere that's actually overall responsible for the patient, then the district nurses work with that doctor and can run things without, my words, the need for a doctor to be on site. And I wasn't quite too sure that at the moment, I think it's run from Christchurch, or the registered medical practitioners in Christchurch. But there is also the that nationwide medical telehealth.
There is, yeah.
so anyway, we made a start in a very small way, a long way to go. But I think we've got the horsepower there. And we're meeting again months later.
So I think it's the 26th.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I should have mentioned was our speed limit thing. So Nicola Gregg did send a letter through to Mr. Bishop, and who promptly replied in pretty much exactly the same terms as what NZTA have, which says others pass as a peri-urban roadway, and we won't be changing nothing. So,
But we can still keep.
but we are still going to keep trying. In fact, the chairman of the APA and myself spoke the other day, and I said to him, I'm going to have a crack at talking to one or two of the lead heavy goods contractors that transit through there and canvass them as to what effect that might have if it was 80 k's from here and 30 in that bit, and would that impact their business, and would they see that as something that they could get past their drivers and make it manage. So if I can get some agreement with Crofts and Arahura and Coolpack.
What about fruit?
Well,
Transport.
those three are the biggest ones going through there. If I can talk to the operations managers at those particular places and get
The stock trucks, the most biggest looking things apart from the white trucks, but the white trucks are easy to see, but the stock trucks are.
yeah, well, what we're worried about is 39 tonners coming through there and
54.
whatever and not being able to stop.
Mm.
when a kid runs across the road outside the shop. That's what we're worried about.
54 is the magic number you can get over by.
Yes,
You can go to 58, but if you're not getting the other 4 ton on, you're paying a lot more road tax than you need to.
yeah. So anyway, so that's a little work in progress. They can only say no. And if they see it as being value and not being a commercial impediment to them, well then I think we've got so we can get some buy-in from the road users.
And also the transport, what is it? GPS stop time, but the transport plan's up for renewal, isn't it?
Yeah, and then depending where the collection lands, the
Yeah.
GPS will change.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's another little aside. But
All right, well, look, I think we've John updated on
Bolton
today.
Kirby
Barry's-
over the road.
Good. I think we can put it today.
All businesses.
Well, I think everybody had a fair
We're-
chance.
we're all good, Rob?
You've got a fair chance today?
Yes, thank
Good.
you. Mr. Chair.
All right.
Come back.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.